now.
Hello, and welcome to the newest episode of LandonNation.
LandonNation!
Oh, you didn't see the echo.
Yeah, I still can. I didn't know if it was a bit much. LandonNation! It's like WWF or something.
You're like a town crier or something.
We have Little Joe, Haas, Ben, but no Adam.
Yeah.
No Adam. Uh-oh, I lose you? I lost you. I could not have lost you. Bump.
It might have even been one of his Johnny Carson ones, like during the Bonanza years, when he kind of jokes about how they're all like these like men in their mid-30s.
You just totally vanished.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'm back now.
You were saying something. It was like Johnny Carson.
I did an interview, Michael Landon interview, like, I think it was on Johnny Carson, like during the Bonanza years, when he was kind of joking about how they're all like these men in their like mid-30s and they all like live at home for some reason.
Mm-hmm. I'm fixing
so it's just thing. Like, you know, the group of adult men living at home. But then it's like, so when Adam left the show, so then it's like for him to leave, it's like, oh, he moved away. And I'm like, yeah, he's like the only one.
So did he move away or did they kill him off?
No, he moved away. Like, that was the excuse that they used. But then Haas, well, because Dan Blocker died in real life, so then his character died on the show.
And I heard it was like a real blow to the show. Like, it was... I mean, of course, he's a main character. But, I mean, he was like considered one of the bigger stars of all of them, which surprised me a little. But I'm new to the show still.
And then the first episode of season 14 is like a two-parter. And Little Joe gets married in the episode. And it actually was written for Haas originally. Oh. But then like when he ended up dying, so then they made it so that Little Joe would get married. And that was a Michael Landon script, and it is like very Little House-esque.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it's kind of like one of those things. And then, I mean, it's like the last season of Bonanza, so we're kind of like on the cusp of like, you know, Little House starting and stuff. But there were like a lot of things in it that I was like, kind of like, wow, this has like Little House elements like all over it.
Yeah, like the episode was chosen just because of the similarities to a particular Little House episode.
Indeed.
A matter of circumcision.
Right, it's when Little Joe is injured and he becomes so delirious that he circumcises himself.
And Haas goes off to Moyle camp.
Yeah.
He takes the oath.
The oath.
No, it's a matter of circumstance.
Circumstance.
I should have written that. I wrote circumcision, but...
That's funny. So this is one of the things that I was really looking forward to doing on LandonNation is, like looking at Bonanza episodes and Little House episodes that share these plots, because there are quite a number of them. And sometimes when I hear people kind of like bring up like, oh, well, this plot was just recycled from Bonanza, and they say it almost kind of like with this air, like kind of like has a feeling of negativity about it. But I really don't have a problem with like the plots being reused, because I think it's like interesting to see it with a different cast and the context of a different show. So I'm like, even if the plot is really similar, I actually think it's interesting to see how it's rendered.
No, this is I think that, all right, the general idea is here. It's similar to the Little House episode where Carolyn scratches herself and she gets some type of sepsis of some sort. I don't know. I don't know exactly what happened to her, because all she did was scratch herself.
Yeah, it was a very dirty wire.
Right. Like, what was that wire used for? But yeah, like she scratched herself. I guess it was tetanus. That's what I'm thinking. And this is one of these kind of weird things where if you go down these rabbit holes of people who are, what do you call it? Like preppers and stuff like that. I remember reading a long time ago, this prepper person was talking about the Carolyn episode. And they're like, well, she could have definitely maintained it by draining it, you know. And it's kind of like, well, she probably ended up doing that in the episode.
Well, isn't that what they say though? Because it's like she was going to like cut her leg, but I mean, like I was kind of not really that clear on if she was going to cut it off, which is kind of what I always thought she was going to do, because when she's reading the Bible, they keep like zooming in on the cut it off, right? So I always thought like, oh, she's gonna like amputate her leg,
right?
But then she ends up just like kind of cutting it, I think, because then doesn't Doc Baker say like, oh, she actually ended up like helping herself because she like just kind of cut it and then it like drained a little bit.
I have to go back and listen to it, but yeah, I think what she ended up doing is just relieving whatever pressure and stuff.
Right. Like that. Or like draining some of the bad, like the infection.
Can you imagine if she had to cut off her leg? What a pain in the ass she would be in that show.
Oh, right. I think the whole idea of like, I'm just going to have to cut my limb off is like crazy. I mean, it really is like to be, and I suppose what's like, you're like in both episodes, you know, the characters are like totally getting delirious. Little Joe is also like boozing it up too, which probably on the one hand sort of helps, but also probably his mental state is really getting like, you know, deteriorated, and that's probably making it more deteriorated. But I cannot imagine being like, all right, so if I just cut my limb off, like we're going to be good. Cool. I mean, an amputation's a really serious medical procedure.
Well, this is also post-Civil War and stuff like that. So, I mean, a lot of people died just from the amputation. Like, they're cutting the limb, but then the infection just gets crazy bad.
Yeah, and it's like, I just can't imagine, like, that whole headspace of thinking that you're just gonna, like, chop it off with, like, your meat cleaver or your knife or whatever. The knife that Carolyn was gonna use, I was kind of like, man, is that even gonna, like, could that even cut your leg off? Like, it didn't seem like it was... It's like Little Joe has, like, a meat cleaver.
It's like that movie from, like, forever ago where the guy gets his arm caught in a rock and he has to, like, amputate his arm to survive. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like 240 something hours.
Wait, I do, because I've heard about this before.
It's a big deal movie. Everyone was like, oh my God, you can't watch it. People were passing out and everything. I'm like, well, I'm not going to see that. It's about a guy who gets his arm cut in a rock. You just told me the whole movie.
Right. You're like, so why do I need to watch it?
Right. And then the guy was like on Oprah, and I'm like, oh, that's a shame.
But another thing, like just going back to like the, you know, I kind of like seeing how the plots are rendered on different shows. So with Bonanza, like as Michael Landon over the years on the show, like became increasingly involved, did more writing, did more directing, things like that. He kind of actually had a reputation for being kind of difficult on the set. You know, there were some conflicts, and like he would, I guess, like say stuff that he's like directing or whatever. Like he was like so like such a perfectionist. Like he was like driving people crazy because
I find that hard to believe. I mean, I believe you, but I can't really picture it because I feel personally that Little House is kind of an imperfect show, and that's kind of what I like about it.
Yeah, well, and I mean, maybe by like perfectionism, it's like that he in his mind has a very specific way, I guess is more what I'm getting at. So like the perfectionism as rendered by him is that like he has something very specific in mind that he wants it to be. And then so like on Bonanza, like he'd be like directing episodes and he would be like wanting to reshoot stuff all the time, and people would just be like, oh my gosh, it's good enough, like just let it go. So like there were some conflicts there because of that. But so then he gets Little House, which is just like indisputably his show, right? Like he's totally like at the helm of it basically. So like he's running the show, he's the boss. No one's going to tell him like we can't do that, right? So I've kind of like had this theory, which of course he's deceased, so we cannot ask him. But kind of what I think in my mind a little bit, knowing that background with Bonanza, is that he liked these stories, some scripts and stuff. That, like he didn't write this script, but he liked the story clearly. But other scripts that he did write that he reuses again on Little House too. That it's like if he, you know, Bonanza was kind of like wanting to redo things, didn't really turn out exactly how he pictured it. But he's like, well, now I have my opportunity on my show that like I can make it exactly what I want it to be. Which I have kind of wondered or speculated maybe is part of the reason why he, besides just liking the stories, you know, they're good stories, but and I mean, and it's like, why not use them again if they're good? Especially like one's a hero too. It's like, I mean, he wrote a story. Why not reuse it? Like, you know, however he wants to.
I have a couple general Bonanza questions.
Mm-hmm.
Like, all right, so Michael Landon plays Little Joe. Is there a Big Joe?
No. So one of the ridiculous things, actually, is that they call him Little Joe, and it's like, okay, he's in like his 30s, right? And the show goes on for 14 years. It's like at this point, what is he, almost 40? And like he's going gray. And they like still call him Little Joe, and then the doctor's like, he's a strong boy.
It's like the members of the Beastie Boys or something like that. It's like you guys are like 60.
No, I mean, like, it's crazy. Like, I'm just like, it's weird, but it's kind of one of the things that's just, I don't know, a weird
I don't know if there was a
thing
big,
that they do, I guess.
like there was a Big Joe, and because then I was watching it and I'm like, wait. So Ben's his dad, right? And I'm like, because you would normally call him Little Joe if like his dad was Big Joe.
Well, I mean, like, he's the youngest of the siblings. So, like, he's called Little Joe because he's, like, the baby of the family. Except at this point, he's, like, not I mean, none of them are babies anymore, right?
Right,
so that's why it's kind of ridiculous that they're still doing it.
Yeah. But, I do like Hoss. I kind of warmed up to Adam, and then he's just gone here, unfortunately.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I liked Adam, too.
He's kind of like
Earl Roberts is like a pretty good-looking guy.
Yeah, Adam played like the good-looking guy of the group, which I wonder if there was like a thing with Michael Landon. Well, Michael Landon also being a good-looking guy, but he was younger. He's kind of the goofier of the bunch.
Well, I mean, like, I have read that also, that like on Bonanza, like, Michael Landon really liked being like the good-looking guy. Like on the show, maybe like a little bit vain or whatever, which is just kind of like, I mean, I think that, honestly, like the profession kind of lends itself to it, right? Like basically part of your job is being attractive. So
tell me about it. Story of my life.
I mean, so I guess like I can kind of see how like it'd be kind of easy to get a little swept up in that, right?
Yeah. Especially Lorne Greene. Lorne Greene, I don't know him from very much. I know him from Battlestar Galactica from the late 70s.
Yeah. He's in an episode of Highway to Heaven.
Man, I've always loved his name. Like, I don't know, I've always thought he had the coolest name, Lorne Greene.
It is a pretty cool name.
Yeah.
I kind of like it because it's like, it's not Lauren, it's Lorne. Like, it's just kind of like...
Yeah. I knew a Lorne in high school. I always thought, like, it's a cool name, man.
Yeah.
You're kind of a dick, though. But whatever.
But I like your name. You suck, but I like your name.
Exactly. But yeah, so this aired April 19th, 1970. I mean, this is like, what, the spring following Woodstock. Like, this is a crazy time in the world.
Yeah, and this also is the season finale of season 11.
It's a big one. The screenshot that you took of Haas is funny because he almost looks like he's being tickled.
Yeah.
Wait, I'm going to put it in the screen just for a second to get it on our video. But he just looks like he's being tickled.
Yeah. That's very funny.
I don't know. I just picture him doing that. But yeah, people who are just kind of new to this podcast, we have notes and everything.
Yeah.
We're pros.
Lots of funny notes. 14 pages of notes for this one.
Yeah, this is... You see 14, I see 10. It scares me. I'm hoping that we don't have...
Wait, I see 18 now. What happened?
Well,
do you see my... Okay, so you're at the bottom of the document. Do you see my blue stuff above where you are right now?
I see your brilliant addition to my clips.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I see all of your stuff. I don't know. Maybe the way the screen is shaped.
Yeah. That's very strange.
Maybe the way the font. I don't know. Well, we'll find out what's going on. So we open up in this particular episode. I'll rewind it so that we can actually hear the kind of music. It's almost like Halloween. Another thing is, this is the season... You said it's the season finale in April. Right? That's kind of crazy. You probably... Can I hear that?
I can.
Oh. Wait. But I have to change it anyway. And I know the thing just vanished. I don't know what's going on over here. Can you still hear it?
I can hear it, but I can't see it.
I know. I don't know what's happening here. Bum 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 bum. Technical difficulties. Yeah. All right, should be back.
If you wanted to play Ass Blaster, now would be the appropriate time.
Yeah, whenever we have like a down moment, it's just play Ass Blaster. Or
I'm good with it.
if you like this music, you can click on one of our links down below. You know that we really should create links so people can go and buy things and we get a kickback.
Yeah. We can have like a curated playlist.
It's like people are buying Ass Blaster like crazy.
Yeah. Ass Blaster guy's like, why am I getting money for this suddenly?
I think we should go to Fiverr and find like some musician who'll redo Ass Blaster for us. Like the acoustic version or something. I would love this. I mean, I guess I could play it, but...
Maybe we can get like a remix version as well.
Yeah, or an orchestra.
Ooh.
It's like when a band like Kiss gets an orchestra, you have to play like one of their like, you know, ridiculous rock songs.
Yeah.
It's like rock and roll all night. Played by the Philharmonic Orchestra.
Leader Joe! Mr. Horse ready go any minute now!
All right, horse will be ready in a second.
Now, this guy is definitely one of the, I don't know, last questionable characters of this era of television. Right?
Oh, totally. Like, there's
Pop
no way that they could do this now.
Yeah. Not
like,
that
have this character.
And I think he was their cook. I'm not really sure what he did.
Yeah, he's like a cook slash kind of like housekeeper. Like, he pretty much, like cooks for them and does like chores. And that's, what he does. Although there apparently are a couple of episodes that I haven't seen that kind of like center on his character. So I've read, so.
He's got a hell of a ponytail.
He does. It's so long. And a very nice hat.
Very nice. Yeah, it is actually a really nice hat.
All right,
So we have that Little House on the Prairie wind.
horse will be ready in a second.
So there's a lot of times where Little Joe is standing behind the horses. Like, for real standing behind the horses.
Yeah, and it seems just so unsafe. I don't...
Even these two horses being so close to each other, I don't know if people, I'm sure there's people who know a lot more about horses than I do. But I would imagine this horse could accidentally just kick the crap out of this horse.
Well, I mean, like, it's really crazy that you would just be, like, so directly behind another horse while you're, like he's getting the one horse ready just, like, straight behind the other horse, which is a little crazy. Also, the horse is, like, acting up a bit, and he's now like, oh, maybe I shouldn't stand behind it. It just is really weird.
Right.
And also, it's, like, they're, like, experienced ranchers, right? So it's, like, don't you think he would have a little more, like, sense about safety around this stuff? It's a little bit weird.
Yeah.
Take
Hey,
it.
that's flat ass.
Dude, that one horse has like a really fancy bridle.
Oh,
Holy
yeah,
cow, look at that. It's all like,
It's like a dominatrix.
the Cartwrights are like totally rolling in the dough, right? I mean, their extreme wealth is like thrown around a lot on this show.
Yeah, like
That's very different than like on Little House.
Yeah.
Or Highway to Heaven, where they're driving around that really beat up car.
Yeah, the beat up car is definitely a sign of their lack of financial status. But yeah, look at this thing. This is like ornate and nice. And,
It's like straight from the palace or something.
right. So this is a very visual episode. So we'll probably be flying through a lot and just describing a lot of stuff. But I brought up how he looks like he's graying already.
Yeah, and he did gray really early. And by the end of the show, like season 14, when he gets married, he has totally gray hair.
He's only like 32 here in real life.
So he grayed really early. And then, of course, he like dyed his hair. And I think I brought it before, like on Walnut Grove cast, that he seems to have this pattern, like at the end of a show, like he's letting his hair go gray, but then he dyes it again for the next one. because the end of Bonanza, he's gray. But then Little House, he starts out dark brown. But then at the end of Little House, he's gray. But then on Highway to Heaven, it's like brown hair again.
It's weird.
So it's like he kind of lets it run its course, which I guess in terms of the show does show like some progression of aging, it seems, right? Like you kind of see the character over the course of many seasons kind of start to maybe look a little older.
Something we don't get anymore, of course.
What's that?
You don't really get it anymore in television. Everybody's hair has to be like so perfect, and God forbid you have a gray hair. Mm-hmm. Or you're fully gray. You're like, a Steve Martin, and it's like 100%.
But I think that he actually can really pull off the gray hair.
Yeah,
I think he looks good no matter. Like when his hair is like dyed, like it looks fine. I think when it's gray, it looks fine. But I mean, like he is one of those people where like his hair could be gray, but it doesn't like make him look really old, Yeah,
just a little bit. But I'd see. I mean, I don't know if you've had friends who at all. No, I'm kidding.
I don't have any friends. I ain't got no friends, mister. Like that guy in Little House.
I had friends who went gray in their 20s. And it's kind of crazy. I'm kind of gone gray, sort of. But I still, I don't know. I think people think I dye my hair, but I have gray hair. It's like in layers. It's kind of weird. But,
I don't have any gray hair as far as I know. But I have also been dyeing my hair since I was like a teenager. So I don't actually.
Well, you're 13, right?
I'm not really aware of what my hair would just look like. Yeah. But I don't notice gray would be, I think, pretty noticeable when roots come in and stuff. And I haven't noticed any. So
when I was younger, I used to dye my hair jet black all the time. Mm-hmm. Even though my hair's brown. But and I just stopped, and I don't know, my hair just seemed like it was dark. I don't know, like I did some type of permanent change.
So it started growing dark.
It's not likely, but I feel like that kind of happened. And my hair got darker as I got older. But now, I'm 51. It's gone gray a bit.
You're going to be like one of those people, you're like 80 and your hair is like super dark.
There you go.
Sometimes there'll be these old women you see that their hair is super dark. They're dyeing it black, but they're really old. It's kind of this looks a little silly at this point.
Kind of like a Harriet. A Harriet's character I can see being older.
Sure.
And when I say Harriet, I don't mean the actor. I don't mean Catherine McGregor. I mean, the
character of Harriet.
Yeah, Harriet would never go. I don't think she ever goes gray, does she?
No, we never see her with gray hair.
There you go, Bob.
I can't get over the Haas tickling thing. It just looks like the Pillsbury Doughboy.
Yeah, he kind of does, right?
Like the way he giggles. Look at this. They have this potted tree out here. I don't really. We talked a little bit today when we weren't recording about the size of the Ponderosa, and really, my only vision of the Ponderosa so far has been this little gathering area and their kind of living room.
Right. So I have seen numerous episodes where they're at various places around the Ponderosa. Mm-hmm. And it is very large. It's apparently 1,000 square miles, which is, what did we say it was? It was an insane amount of acres.
Huge.
644,000 acres or something like that, right. Which is I can't even really conceive of owning a piece of property that is that big.
Right.
But anyway, so I'm how long does it even take to travel across the Ponderosa? And there is an episode that I saw that, they're spending the night, they're traveling back and they're on the Ponderosa, but they're they haven't reached their home yet. So they're spending the night, and then resuming travel the next day. So I'm okay, that at least is seems like a realistic depiction. But I mean, when I was talking to Pete about it earlier, and then he pointed out that it's it could just be, well, I guess depending on its shape or whatever, but it could actually be you're maybe it's 30 miles across or something like that.
That's how long. Remember, I was saying Long Island is 1,300 square miles.
Yeah.
So, but you can go from the north and south of Long Island in 25 minutes.
Right.
Driving. So it probably is about 30 or 40 miles.
Right. And then it's like, I mean, could you do that in a day? It's like, well, maybe. I mean, I suppose. I mean, just like getting across their land maybe in a day, like on horseback, on foot, I'm sure not. But like, well, I mean, maybe. I mean, because like, I guess people run marathons, right?
Well, look, in the 1870s, apparently you could go from Colorado Springs to Mexico in a day.
I mean,
So-
yeah, they did seem to have some traveling secrets back then.
Yeah, like underground
but
tunnels.
I would think that if you're like not on the Ponderosa, like you've left the Ponderosa to go to do whatever, then you're like traveling back. It could be like you could actually be in a scenario where you end up having to like camp out on the Ponderosa because let's say it's 30 miles across, but you were like already 30 miles away. Like you're not going to do 60 miles in a day or whatever.
I also want to mention that 1,000 square miles is equivalent to 1,600 square kilometers. For our Canadian listeners.
Because I'm sure we probably do have some actually.
Yeah. Everybody loves Bonanza and Michael.
It's worldwide. What was I going to say though about the traveling? Oh, so I think that their house though, I am imagining, given the size of their land, and they just sort of freely come and go from town. So their house must be located, I think, more towards like an edge of the property that's like closer to town or something, right?
Yeah, of course.
Because otherwise they wouldn't be like just coming and going so freely and like easily going into town. And it's not like this huge trip, you know?
Also, it seems like, what are there, 4 people who watch this 1,000 square miles, and they're always finding people?
Well, yeah, no, that is actually like totally crazy. Like they just like stumble upon these people like on their land all the time, and which is like really nuts. But it's part of what makes it great. Oh, and speaking of their house, so did you know that the character of Adam is like is an architect with a university education?
In real life or on the show?
On the show, he designed their house.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Mm-hmm. I know that somebody did a recreation of the Ponderosa house.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
And didn't they have like cutouts of the characters in there too? Like life size cutouts. It's kind of funny.
I mean, you need that. I mean,
I sleep with little Joe looking over my bed.
Oh, yeah.
whoops. I almost pressed remember Colorado, so I may as well.
Do you remember Colorado?
Yeah, that's like when you get stuck traveling on the Ponderosa and you're like, when am I going to get off the Ponderosa?
Do you remember
looking for Colorado?
Do you remember the Ponderosa? So, all right. So, Little Joe's going to wait for somebody who is going to go with Ben and all of them to provide the tent. I don't really fully understand what that guy's purpose is. Sprague, the guy who plays Sprague in Little House on the Prairie.
Their deal wasn't he like a cook or something like that?
He was cooking for them, and it seems like he brings them a tent because they don't have a place to sleep.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Here comes the Angel of Mercy. I notice every time we have a cattle drive, Upsing has a sick cousin he has to take care of.
How come he's talking kind of like this? His voice.
Oh, there's the pancake.
Oh, yeah, it's flat. Built like a 12-year-old girl.
Yeah, that's lucky, I reckon. Hey, you ain't got another sick cousin you can loan me, have you?
Hey, what I'd like to know is how do you get your cousin to send the telegrams just at the right time?
Just lucky.
Why didn't he say ancient Chinese secret? Like, it would have been perfect.
Right. That would be like his version of the Cheyenne say. It's just like ancient Chinese secret.
And he looks right into the camera and winks or something. I don't know. I like this character. I've only seen him a few times. He seems to yell at them a lot. You know, he has a lot of pull on the ranch. On the
Rosa.
Yeah. Now, the guy who played Haas, what's his name? Dan Blocker. He died when he was kind of young, right? In his 40s?
Yeah, I think he was pretty young. Mm-hmm.
It's a shame. It's a shame.
And also, he, of course, is the father of Abel in Little House.
I didn't know that.
He is the
Dumb
father.
Abel? No.
Yeah, Dumb Abel. He's Dumb Abel's dad.
Dable, yeah.
Johnny Sacramento, fine boss, not yak all time when cousin's sick. John, I'm fine.
There you go, brother.
There you go, brother.
There you go, brother. All of a sudden, it's good times.
Look good weather. Liable to be a little wet. Well, we've been wet before.
No, all right. So Ben's wearing a nice little. Thing. He's wearing not an ascot, like a little scarf.
Yeah, like a little a little handkerchief scarf thing.
How did a hat stay on with the wind? I don't get it.
I mean, I wonder that on Little House too.
Yeah, but at least they're all sweated up on Little House. These.
I hope this new cook, this Griffin, I hope he's dependable.
He swears he is.
He swears he is. He would
know.
know.
Dependable.
He would know.
I'm gonna put the supplies on our bill. Say to be here 6 o'clock tomorrow morning with a wagon provision ready to go.
And that should put you in Beaver Flats before sundown. Be a lot of us there ready to eat.
We'll be there.
Just make sure you got a hot supper for us.
Don't worry about it. If you're not there, I'll eat it myself.
Yeah, I'm
Let's
at
go!
Take care.
Well, I mean, it's like, God forbid any of the Cartwrights cook for themselves, right?
Right. Well, they're loaded. I mean, I think that's something that I had no idea. I knew nothing about Bonanza. And I remember when you first told me about Bonanza, you're like, yeah, well, they have a lot of money. I'm like, really? And they must have more than just a lot of money. Like 1,000 square miles. We've seen episodes where they are the only people who have beef.
Right.
They have really nice things in their house, like that bottle.
Well, and they have that horse with that fancy bridle.
That alone.
Yeah.
That's a
It's worth
$4
$1 million.
bridle. Is that what that's called, a bridle?
Yeah.
Look
It's all like bejeweled.
This horse is like
He's like, my bridle sucks.
bejeweled.
Where are my jewels?
Haas is like, I made that. My bejeweled. Is that what it was called? A bejeweler or something? Or a bejewel thing?
Like a thing that you used to put jewels on.
Yeah,
something?
like what was the actual device called?
I don't know.
I'm bejeweling. Alright, so it's a lot of wind and everybody's like, see you later.
Bedazzler?
Oh yeah, that's it, the bedazzler.
The bedazzler. That's such a funny word. Bedazzler.
I like
Be bedazzled.
Bedazzled. It's like, what is it called?
The bedazzler.
Bedazzler.
Oh, now easy.
Alright, so
Okay, this is stupid.
right where he is here. So dumb.
I feel like he's running straight up behind the horse. Like, take it easy. I'm just running up behind you.
I'm not here to scare you. Boom!
I'm just going to touch your butt.
Alright.
Easy. That's all right. Just a little lightning thunder. Come on. That's it. Come on.
So this whole time I'm thinking, because I mean, I know something bad is going to happen. And I don't know what, and I kept thinking he's going to get kicked. And that's kind of like a fear of mine, even though I'm never around horses.
That's easy.
The whole, like, easy. I mean, he says easy like 35 more times.
Yeah. This is like, you take it easy.
You take it. You give me a sugar cube.
Go easy.
It's not easy. The horse is all pissed off because he doesn't have a nice bridle. Wait, what is it called? The bridle? Yeah.
They're all like jealous of that one horse.
You love it more than me.
Come on.
Alright, so right here, I didn't really understand what happened.
I think the horse just kind of knocks him down, right? And then starts like stepping on him.
It's almost like the beginning of Mr. Ed. He starts talking to him.
Which this actually, not the repeated stomping and breaking of the leg, but this is actually kind of similar, like in Little House when Mary gets kicked by the horse.
Right. Which I kind
Or
of
she's not really kicked, but I guess, well, the horse kind of pushes her and she like falls over the wall or whatever in the barn. And then she has to have that surgery.
Right.
So this is like kind of a similar premise that's used in that Little House episode.
But you know, like when the horse is stomping down, like right here, it's like,
Yeah. It's crazy. So like,
I have to take that screen. You know how long I tried to get this screenshot to happen and I couldn't?
It's just, that is actually like really hilarious.
It's like an Ed Wood type of thing. It's just like just a piece of like card. It's like a.
I know. It looks like it's like a piece of cardboard inside like his pant leg or something.
Like when you finish like with gift wrap and it's a tube.
Yeah.
It's like that's what's in it. But you know, that was the thing is, I thought like this is what would kill me, right? I mean, if that really happened to you, your whole leg was just crushed.
I mean, right? Yeah, yeah.
I wouldn't be so worried. How does he hurt his arm?
That is actually pretty crazy that like you see this happen, but then like the leg isn't even what ends up being the issue.
Right. The leg's fine. The leg's totally fine.
He just like puts a splint on it and he's like good to go. He's like walking on it.
It doesn't make any sense. Well, how does he actually hurt his arm?
So like, is it when he bumped it, right, or something, and it gets like cut?
Wait, did he scratch it on like a piece of wire?
Oh, maybe.
They use an interesting font here.
Mm-hmm. Nice, like old.
And
I kind of like though, like really. So the whole like beginning sequence thing, like it looks super old school.
The whole thing, like this.
Yeah, well, so like that just kind of looks like, you know, the 60s, which it was. But then like when they show the thing with like all the like guest stars and stuff like that, and so it's like all this like it's just like a drawing, like painting thing or whatever, and it's like super old school looking.
Oh wait, do you mean? Well, is it at the end? Yeah, they have these like cartoons.
Yeah.
Now you said there's words to this.
Last time I think about the horse that he's on, the black and white Pinto, how like this is like a replacement one because the original one was like attacked and it died.
Aw.
Which is crazy.
It was attacked by what?
A person.
Oh my. Oh right, you told me.
Yeah, like some person attacked the horses and then little Joe's horse ended up dying and they never figured out who did it.
That's terrible. Who kills a horse? Or attacks a horse? Now I was like, who the hell's this guy?
Well, right. So then, like, when people, you know, like when Adam leaves, they're all like, well, we got to start bringing in people to, like, try to replace Adam.
David Canary. Yeah.
It's really funny because he's not even in the group when they ride up.
This is so, like, weird. Like, the title cards.
And how they put, like, the title of the episode over Bonanza.
Yeah, and even the way the Bonanza is written on this.
Like, this is, like, super old school looking.
Yeah, like, these are, like, when you watch, like, court things, and it's, like, somebody drew the
right, and then written by B.W. Sandifer, of course, Little House name. And then next we have directed by William Claxton, which is another Little House Hall of Famer.
Isn't this how you read? You hold the book like that?
Yes. He looks kind of dirty. What happened? His face is like dirty. He's like, I had a long day of ranching. Now I'm going to read my book about Bonanza.
What's this? Is it a piano? Back there?
It kind of looks like it, but why is it... Okay, I was going to say, why is the piano so little? But I'm like, well, actually the people. But then, like, the horse is huge next to it. What's that all about?
Maybe it's they hate music.
This is a weird drawing.
Yeah, I wonder what is the story behind these kind of mediocre drawings.
I don't know.
So yeah, we I don't know why it says Fox Classics down there. Apparently this did not come from the DVD collection. Let's see. The screenshot I got of him screaming I think is pretty funny.
Yeah, I liked it. Actually, I got a number of good screenshots on this episode, some of which I made memes from, but I don't know, just like a lot of the shots in this episode are pretty good. I mean, it's really visual, and we get a lot of like close-ups of his face and everything. And
you actually made a good point. You said that it kind of reminded you a little bit of Sylvia with some parts of it, the close-ups.
Oh, like there's that part when they're really close up on his eye, which is kind of, they do that in Sylvia.
Now the horse is still like I like this game. He's like going up and down. Oh no, is he still going up and down? A little bit, yeah.
He's just kind of sitting there like kind of like pawing next to him, I guess.
You mean pawing?
Like pawing? Like
No.
P-A-W.
Now,
Pawing?
not pawing.
Oh, pawing.
Paw Ingalls.
Paw Ingalls.
So when they showed his leg, why wouldn't it be like covered in blood and stuff? I would think, unless all the blood's in that boot.
Well, cardboard doesn't bleed, Mark.
It doesn't, it's true. So my first reaction would be, I can't wait to get up so I can kill that horse.
Okay, so like his arm must have been cut when he cut his face, right? Probably when he was knocked down. Remember the horse knocked him down before it stepped on him? That's probably when that happened.
But I don't remember there being like something specific happening to his hand. Like, I feel like they could have just made it so that the horse stomped on his hand or arm. It would have made more sense. See? Like, but it does look a little torn.
Yeah, it is torn.
Maybe don't lean on it.
But like he's wearing multiple layers, right? And for that to just tear, like when the horse knocked him down, like I mean that must have been a heck of an impact, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, let's just crawl by the horse's hind legs.
Oh, I was just...
Like yeah, this is. I mean, I know that he's like in pain and everything, but I just can't stay away from those hind legs.
Well, he's been looking for an excuse to find this bottle that's hidden.
Yeah. I thought it was funny that they have this like pain reliever thing in the barn.
Yeah, and it's like, it looks like it was used because it's like stained on the front. Now, looking at it again, do you think it says colic remedy?
Let me
We'll
find
get to it.
Oh, maybe that
Maybe?
is what it says. Okay, that could work, yeah.
He's like, I found Adam's stash.
Wait, does it say... Oh my gosh, that's why it's in the barn. It says for equines and bovines. Like, that's like
really?
horse and cattle medicine that he's taking.
All right, and that makes a lot more sense.
Right.
Doesn't stop him drinking it, though.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, I love this stuff. I love this horse medicine.
It'd be funny if he looked at it and goes, not bad.
Yeah, I did pretty good. Some nice gloves.
It's basically rot gut, right? With some morphine in it. Yeah, the glove is pretty nice. Nice shot of his crotch.
Yeah, we have a few really nice
there's a
crotch
few
shots in this.
Now, if this had happened to you, I just feel like he's so exposed. Like, get away from the horses, for one. I kept thinking, like, when the horse was pawing, as you said, I thought he was just gonna lightly bump his leg and he'd be like, ah! You know?
Yeah.
Because that would really kind of let us know he's in pain. Not that we don't think he's already in pain. He did just have a...
No, Little Joe always acts like this.
This is like Tom from Dr. Quinn after a nice shot of morphine. This is like Albert after his after having a sip of his morphine.
I think that this whole thing, though, I think he acts really well.
Yeah.
Like, it's so visual. There's very little dialogue in the episode. But I still think that it's interesting, and it's actually kind of like mesmerizing just watching him. I think he pulls it off really well, which I think is a testament to his acting abilities, because for there to be like no dialogue yet to maintain interest, I think is talented.
Yeah, we're getting all these like kind of crazy, like hallucinogenic shots.
That's what happens when you take horse medicine, I guess.
You know what it kind of reminds me of? I'm just looking it up. Have you ever heard of a movie called Skidoo?
I've heard of it, yes.
What year did Skidoo come out? Alright, so Skidoo came out just 2 years before this, and it was considered like the Hollywood dropping acid movie. And and it of course starred like Jackie Gleason, and I think it might have been Groucho Marx's last role, but. Oh wow, Nilsson was a part of that. I wonder if we have any Beatles people. I mean, Nilsson was kind of like, he was really connected to John Lennon, but I just wonder. I have to look into that. It's an interesting movie, but it kind of has like a lot of things like that. After Jackie Gleason takes acid, he starts kind of seeing things like this, where it's like, it's just. Whoops.
There's a nut over there. At least not yet, anyway.
You mean tell me you fellas ain't got most of them rounded up?
It's the weather. Made him stick a little deeper in the brush. Mainly, though, I figure we ought to save some chasing for you and Joe.
It figures.
Gotta get back to camp before that storm breaks.
So then I'm also kind of under the impression that, so they're like on this roundup, right? But other people are actually rounding up the cattle for them. They're just sort of like watching it, I guess.
Yeah, I guess like they're the they're
Like
the owners.
supervising it?
I mean, would they really be so hands-on? They haven't been very hands-on. But do we have cattle ranchers out there? Yeah, I guess.
I mean,
yeah,
we saw a guy like ride by on a horse, like in front of all the cattle.
But if you look here, you see that guy is on a horse,
Right.
and there. That's kind of cool. And all right, so this is where it almost looks like they put like Vaseline on him to make the water bead.
Right, because it's beating on him so much.
It's kind of cool looking.
He's waterproof.
He's waterproof just in case. So he has water kind of dripping on his head, and I'm like, is this like Chinese water torture or something? And just the way that the water kind of just beads on him, it kind of looks like glitter. Like he looks like a princess.
He's bejeweled.
He manages to get he's bejeweled. He manages to get the lantern down. He lights the lantern, which is weird.
Which I think him lighting fire is a great idea.
And it's also really well lit anyway, but of course, it's, he has to have light. And it is just visual. We just keep seeing the struggles that he's going through. Then we get back to Haas. Not a lot happens, I think. We just have a lot of back and forth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's just sort of like, which like in the Little House rendition of this plot, we kind of get a little bit of like, not so much back and forth, but we do get kind of shots of like, oh, here's like the family having fun, like just playing, like jumping in the water or whatever, while Ma is suffering. I mean, like we do kind of get like that same thing going on, but of course they're just kind of on their thing and they're all like, oh, I really wish someone will show up and cook us some food at some point.
Right. It's like, I hope you're bringing a White Castle.
You little Joe.
The Haas is like, I should have packed an extra foot long. So when Ma is going through her like fever, I'm gonna guess it's kind of a fever. We do get kind of shots that are similar, right? Where it's like that, not fisheye lens, but it's just like real kind of handheld, shaky cam, right?
We do, yeah. I feel like, and it has been a little while since I've seen the Little House one, although I have seen it many times. And we do get kind of similar shots, and the music kind of is like a little bit similar. So it's like really a similar feel. I do feel like there maybe is more blurring, and this one seems a little bit trippier to me.
I think we should revisit that episode for LandonNation.
We should.
Because it's,
we could, but
now we know what to look for.
It's like, I think a lot of things are similar, but this rendition of it struck me as like a little bit trippier than the Little House one.
Like Karen Grassley takes a lot of credit for that episode that was mostly the makeup artist. But I wonder if she knows that it's considered a recycled plot.
Well, one thing that I actually was going to bring up relating to that episode and what she says in her book about it is like, so when she, in her book was writing about, when she was kind of like disputing, with Michael Landon over like money and stuff like that.
Right.
They had been like not on really great terms. And then she is in this episode. And then all of like the shots, like, we have the shots in this episode, the shots in that episode that we were just talking about that are similar. All these really like, the close-ups and everything. And that like when he was like watching them, and then he's kind of like, oh, this isn't really right. We need to redo it. And then so they redid it, you know, to his satisfaction and everything. And then when she kind of seemed all like, oh, like it was just like, I thought it was really great. I mean, I'm paraphrasing, of course, but basically like, oh, it was just really great that he was willing to do that because we were like fighting. And I said like, you know, thank you for doing that. And then he was just like, well, it needed to be done. Mm-hmm. And I was like, that's like a really weirdly like self-centered view to take on it, because it's like, so you're having this dispute with him, right? But I'm like, this is his show and he wants it to be good and he wants it to be how he wants it, right? So I'm kind of like, why do you think that like your dispute, like you think that because you're having an argument about your salary or whatever, that he's going to be like, oh, I'm just going to like have this like totally unsatisfactory episode air on TV, like, you know?
And you know what? I bet you that is the way it is on some productions, right? But mm-hmm. I would think that by that point, people have learned that Michael Landon doesn't really work like that.
Yeah,
at least from my point
like, I guess I could see like where it's just sort of like, oh, well, let her flounder, I guess, and then people will not like her, and
then I'll lose
fire her or something. I mean, yeah,
the show will go down the tubes because I didn't want to give her a raise. Yeah,
yeah,
that seems like a pretty good solution.
Yeah, but I mean, just like the way that I thought about it when I read that in her book, is I was kind of like, well, he's just doing his job, you know. I mean.
Right, making entertainment for me.
Yeah.
sorry, you need more money to make good entertainment for me. But yeah, I mean, I can't blame people for wanting to be paid more. But mm-hmm. you can't take. I personally don't think you can take it personally when there's so many people in the production. There's so much going on, and you're making a probably good number to begin with.
Right. And I know that one of the issues too was like the salary relative to like what the children are making. And it's like, I mean, I get the thing where you're like, well, I'm like an adult and they're a child. And you're like, how is a child like, making that much compared to me? But also, I mean, like the children were a really big part of the show.
Right. And it's Laura Ingalls.
Yeah. So.
Well, wasn't there a point where she wanted to write out Laura Ingalls?
Square!
The show's going a different direction. We're going to leave her. She's going to go blind. We're going to send her off to the school. It's going to be the Mary show.
Well, I think I'm going to try to get me some shut-eye.
There's a cup of coffee in the pot. You want some?
Nah. Postponing it ain't going to make this bedroll any warmer.
Sounds like you're losing your taste for the great outdoors.
I ain't never had no taste for the outdoors, never claimed I did. That's my little brother. He just thrives on cold weather.
Oh, is that so? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Probably go barefooted in a blue norther.
A blue norther?
I don't know what they're talking about, really. But it's surprising
that... apparently little Joe likes cold weather. Is what I got from that.
Oh my god, I'm sorry. Fifi's, I don't know what she wants. I mean, I know what she wants, but I'm not going to give her any more of the T word. Go lay down. Go lay down. To those who might not know, I have a toy poodle who is pregnant in... Alright, just because she's being a pain in the butt, I'll give her a treat. Alright, so... I'm sorry.
She's like, one for me, one for the puppy,
right.
One for me, one for the other puppy.
She's really ravenous. Like, I mean, I guess for good reason, but she also, it's not like she doesn't get fed.
Ah, that's hard to believe.
This guy looks like Lee Majors. I don't know if you know who that is.
I do.
Yeah. He has that kind of look that I think a lot of people liked back in this time.
Harder to believe than most of the sour grapes I've been listening to.
I could see Lee Majors being on this show, actually. Maybe he even popped in at some point. So yeah, they're kind of just doing their own manly stuff. And we go back to the Ponderosa and...
And do they not eat at all the first night that they're away?
Aren't they eating jerky and stuff?
I guess they're snacking, yeah.
Yeah. It's they're just not capable of surviving off the land.
They're farmers, or well, not really farmers, they're ranchers, but yeah, they're we need people to do stuff for us.
Even little Joe is not exactly making a balanced meal here. He's let me just take this big chunk of beef and
Yeah. I've seen this happen. I think you just cook it. I think you just put it on fire and it cooks.
Right, and yeah, it was very questionable, like the way he was cooking it and everything. There were flames kind of popping up and stuff.
But yeah, it was actually kind of nuts. It's like, how did he not burn the house down? Because he was like drunk and like delirious,
Right.
and it was just like going up in flames.
So here's a kid. I mean, you mentioned the notes. This is kind of a sad thing whenever you see kind of like the kid waking up the drunk, parent.
Mm-hmm.
Music's interesting.
That's David Rose for you.
So the kid's like, I'm going to splash my dad with some water. That'll make him happy. It's probably like noon. He hasn't been up yet.
LandonNation, boy, what did you do that for?
Couldn't get you awake.
That's a head of hair on this kid.
Yeah, it's quite voluminous.
Yeah, it's very Bieber.
You had too much to drink.
Well, there ain't nothing wrong with having a drink with an old friend.
Not if it's one drink. You cost us 6 hours. Likely that job with the Cartwrights.
Blast you, boy. You talk just like your ma. If I ever get myself dry, you're going to wish you never seen no more water.
But Pa,
Don't but-paw me. You get that team hitched up. You're so all fired anxious about this job.
So yeah, of course, this guy plays Ebenezer Sprague in Little House on the Prairie.
Sure does.
It's cool to see him as kind of like a degenerate character.
Yeah, well, he remember the first time he was in Little House before he Sprague and Money Crop. He was a little bit of a degenerate. Remember,
Yeah,
he found the horses and he was going to keep them.
He's like this character basically.
But like, I guess minus. Well, we don't know if he drinks or not because we just see him for a minute. But
So
on Little House.
All right, so they're already late. They were supposed to be there at 6 a.m., I think, and they show up at the, I'm going to call it the homestead, even though I refer to the homestead on Dr. Quinn Medicine Woman. People should check out Dr. Quinn Cast. That's our other podcast.
That's our original. Well, I mean, it's not your original podcast, but our original team up, I guess.
Yeah.
And LandonNation sort of was birthed from that because we had so much fun on Dr. Quinn Cast.
Yeah.
That we're like, what else can we do?
Actually, I think LandonNation, didn't it come to you in a dream?
It did, yes. Well, actually, speaking of dreams, my dream from last night, I think, is amusing and maybe worth sharing.
Dream time.
It could be a segment of the show.
We need like that
this-
kind of sound, like,
Yeah.
you know.
So I had this dream that Michael Landon was on some show that was not Johnny Carson, but that sort of show. And he's being interviewed or whatever. And then he's kind of like pressed and then ends up like admitting that he murdered his entire family. So then like so it just becomes known that he's like murdered his entire family, but he's like getting away with it because I guess he's Michael Landon or something.
Didn't he say it on a talk show, you said?
Yeah. So it's like this like some Johnny Carson-esque type show, right? Okay, so then it's all like this happens. It's like, well, that's crazy. Michael Landon killed his family. But then in a subsequent episode of the show, he's on there again, and it's revealed that it was like a joke and his family was there with him. Anyway, that was my dream. It was pretty funny. It was one of those things where I woke up and I was like, that was really, really weird, but also kind of funny.
I think that's kind of crazy. Not crazy, but I think it's like such a unique type of dream. Almost, you can see like a weird conspiracy connected to that.
Yeah, I was just so pumped because I knew that we were going to be recording LandonNation. So I had Landon on the brain, and then my brain just twisted it into some really crazy thing.
Ooh, welcome to LandonNation, where the dreams are kind of crazy. Hold on,
It's like I must have had a little bit of what Little Joe was having in this episode before I went to bed or something.
Thanks, Rami. My son came up to grab Fifi because she's being a little bit questionable.
The hormones are raging.
Yeah, they are. It's what happens when you have like 16 puppies inside of you.
I wish I had 3.
She does. I don't think they can have 16, right?
I mean, I have seen some litters happen that are like 9, which seems really big.
She's so little, though. I mean,
yeah.
In general, I would imagine that would be pretty dangerous to have more than 3. But yeah, we're looking at like maybe 2 or 3 weeks from now.
That's pretty exciting.
Yeah, we'll see. It's kind of horrifying too. Hopefully she'll know what to do.
Let's go live when she goes into labor.
It's not a bad idea.
Fifi's gonna give birth on the air.
Patreon supporters get a live feed. Puppy cam. Alright, so we go back to the son goes in to see if little Joe is anywhere. No, they don't see him anywhere. They're like, alright, well, he went ahead, he left us, we're late, so they decided to just kind of go ahead anyway. But little Joe is passed out in the barn still. He's been there for a whole day, practically.
Yeah, like I guess he spent the night in there. And this, of course, is similar to like in Little House when they come to pick up the pies and they're like, oh, she must have left to go with the family. Like, we'll just take the pies that are sitting outside for us.
Except when, remember she breaks the window?
Right.
I thought that was a much better way to go about it because it's almost like she realizes in the last minute that somebody's there.
Yeah, well, I mean, because like she could hear them when they were out there, but it took her so long to get to so that's how she ends up missing them and then breaks the window. And then, that actually was like a really dramatic rendering. But we do have that scene later on in here when he hears the bell and thinks someone is out there. And I'm like, oh, that's actually kind of heartbreaking.
I think it's really effective too. Like that was really crazy. He gets himself up, uses a broom as a crutch, and he gets to his really nice horse. And yeah, we were talking in the notes a little bit about like why did he let his horse out of the barn? And I thought like the horse would run off, right? And that they would see the horse and they're like, oh, why isn't the horse with little Joe? And but that doesn't happen. I mean, it sort of happens, but...
Well, but, like, at the end of the episode, because when they're, like, kind of heading back anyway, and then they're like, hey, look, little Joe's horse is here, and it has blood on it.
But he's, like, 4 feet from the house.
I know, that is kind of funny. But then I was just like, I mean, I guess maybe that's why he was letting the horse free.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense.
And then, did he purposely, like, the blood on it, was that just sort of, like, happen because he's bleeding? Or, like, did he purposely, like, put his arm on the horse to put the blood on it?
I don't know. Here's the scene. Well, you touch a dirty horse with your open wound, of course it's going to get infected. Those trumpets. Those rose trumpets. He gives the horse a slap. You can't.
To like muster. It takes him like 2 minutes to like muster up his strength, and then he's like, "Get out of here!"
And he's looking at the horse's ass. He's like, "That's a fine rear,
lumping round,
lumping." I'm laughing, but I'd be crying the whole time. I'm not good with pain. But he makes his way into the house, which we have to remind ourselves, well, I have to remind myself, that they're, like, really wealthy.
Well, I mean, like, they have these nice paintings everywhere.
Their frame is
really
beautiful.
Nice, like, very finished.
Right. And that urn, like, I wonder, is there a story behind that urn? Like,
well, so, the father, like, how all the sons have different mothers?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like it could be one of them, but I don't know for sure.
I mean, it would be kind of messed up if he knocked it over. It's like, Mom!
Starts eating the ashes.
It's my only... you're supposed to crust it in the steak. It makes a nice crust. But yeah, these paintings are nice. What is the deal with the wall? Like, is that plaster or is that marble?
I mean, it looks like marbly, but I have to believe that's not marble. The marble walls, I mean, that would be nuts.
Yeah, but they have the money. I mean, I thought he was gonna smash the clock.
Shut up!
Right.
So I know, like, he's all haggard and in pain and stuff. I'm like, he actually looks pretty good here.
Oh yeah. And just the ticking of the clock and everything. It's this scene. I mean, I know we took screenshots of it and we goofed around and everything. I think this is a really, really nice scene. Plus, the decanter is like really beautiful.
It is, yeah. And I think that this is really well done. And like, you know, like with just like, that's very visual, of course, but like when we have the visuals, the way that it's shot, even like this, how we're like kind of zoomed in on the decanter and you see him kind of in the background, looks really cool. And, like with the clock, like with just the only noise being the clock, I think is just like really effective. It has this feel to it that I think is really just really well done.
I also thought he was going to break the crystal and use that to cut into himself. I mean, the way he grabs it and everything. I really want to look for one of these. That is really, really cool. And what do you think is in there?
Maybe like brandy?
Yeah, the brand. So it would have to be strong enough. I mean, I guess beggars can't be choosers. But if it's brandy, it could at least be pretty strong. Now, we get a good shot of his splint.
Yeah.
Which looks like it's made from a door hinge or something.
Well, keep in mind, as far as like what's in there, it's like you're talking about a man who was drinking horse medicine. So I think that he'll probably just appreciate that it's actual booze.
It's like milk.
Yeah. I did bring up in our notes, though, that his splint and everything that he did with his leg, which is pretty badass. And it kind of reminds me of like Dr. Quinn when Sully is like in the woods after his federal crime and he like sets his leg himself, like his broken leg.
Yeah, I wish we got the click sound in this. We don't.
And then
but when Sully does it, I think we do.
And actually some of the things that like Sully's kind of do where he's trying to kind of like navigate and get around and remain hidden and stuff, kind of reminds me of how Little Joe is in this episode, you know, like when he's trying to get around the barn and everything. They're kind of different settings, but a little bit similar, I think. Same kind of vibe.
He's looking in the drawer. He's hoping to find like cocktail onions. He needs to make a mixed drink.
Yeah. Oh, there are olives. That doesn't go with brandy.
We're not savages. Everything is like so ornate. And I don't know anything about furniture or anything, but it all looks like super crazy fancy. Wouldn't he have been more comfortable sitting in a chair?
I know somebody who'd love this glove scene.
Dr. Quincast.
All the inside jokes.
Now this is where he looks like he's covered in glitter. So we get the shot of his arm, which does not look good at all.
Right, because it's already like pretty swollen up.
And he takes that swig, and then he pours it onto the
in his face.
Yeah,
wow.
This is me when I have to do anything.
I want to get up and go to work.
Right. No. Then you take a swig from the bottle and you're good to go.
And did he drop the decanter?
Oh, you know what? I might have heard that. I don't think it broke.
I think he, kind of set it down and it clattered a little bit.
It'd be a waste of some good brandy.
Well, I was just thinking that. I was like, well, at least drink the rest of it.
Right.
Your life already sucks right now.
These two are just, the sun and the Sprague are just
Sprague and Son.
Just kind of arguing. I think you made a good point. Like, it's not that he's looking for a wife. He does have a wife, but he goes on these excursions to get away from his wife, I think.
Yeah, and I'm sure that, like, probably, I can imagine that maybe if he has kind of this drinking issue, that maybe his relationship with his wife is not really great.
It's like, bum, 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 bum. All right, so he gets up. There's a lot of this, which is... We get a little bit of humor, I think. And, like, when something terrible is happening... I mean, I like the idea of, like, still being able to, like, make yourself laugh just for a second.
Mm-hmm.
And he kind of does that. He wakes up and he's really cold. So he goes to this... Of course, they have a special box that's just for wood. I'd throw the whole box in, personally, but...
I'll teach you not to bring in the water at night.
So this is where we hear the bell, of course. It's like, so it's the kind of bell that a blind school should have.
Right?
That wind.
So this is another thing that I think is shot really well. It's really effective.
It reminds me of like a zombie movie or something,
Yeah, and there are actually a few different parts in this one. I'm like, this kind of has like a horror movie feel to it. But look at that shot. It's really funny how he's like looking through that. I like this scene though. I am like, oh, this is actually kind of heartbreaking.
It is, because he's like, he's like, it's over, and it's not over. Then you have these fancy people trying to build a fire while sitting right over it. It's not how you build a fire. Let's see, what do they talk about in this? You actually point out that that scene is kind of Hitchcockian as well, which I have to agree. Like, there's a lot of that type of stuff going on. Also, in 1970, I mean, movies were kind of a little bit more serious. But I don't know how... I mean, why do you think some people didn't like this? Because you said you looked it up and it didn't have the best ratings.
So people who kind of didn't seem to like it, which like on IMDb, there are only a couple reviews. And one person just really seemed to think like they didn't like it. They thought it just, it was dragging on. There wasn't dialogue. It was like not going anywhere. I just thought it was like boring basically. And then like with a YouTube video of it that I found with all the comments, which a lot of people like it a lot, which I like this episode a lot. I think it's great. And I think his acting is great, but there were a few people in there too that they're just like, I hardly ever watch this episode because it's just like, it's boring. It goes on forever. So I guess they just kind of think, that maybe like the ones that are maybe a little bit more lighthearted, because we do have, that in this show. Maybe ones that are just more like kind of randomly adventurous. Because like this definitely compared to other episodes of Bonanza that I watched definitely is there's a lot of drama, kind of like these horror elements to it. But I think that the way they do it is so great. And I think that his acting is so good. I mean, like, there are times where I'm just like, it's like mesmerizing to watch. I think he just does it so well. So like, even though there's not really dialogue, it's like, I don't feel like we're missing anything because it's just so like visually compelling. Yeah.
I mean, and it's just a guy who's alone dealing with this, which I just think is great. I think it's done really well.
But I mean, the thing too is like because like if people, I guess if you're not really artistically minded, maybe like you don't really appreciate the like artistic elements that go into like shooting something like this well, and kind of just like the physical acting. Maybe people just, if you're a person who needs dialogue to be entertained, maybe that would just be maybe like not really your cup of tea.
Right.
But,
I want to see Lil Joe and Ben. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, dummy. So he's like, you know what? I'm hungry. So this is a steak that's been sitting out for a while.
I heard you just start a fire, and
he literally starts a fire.
It went away, by the way.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just gonna play that.
You better be.
Uh-oh. Hold on.
Their kitchen I actually kind of like too, and they have a ton of pans, just like hanging.
Now, you see this mantle up here? This was actually repurposed in Little House. Just kidding. Imagine if this was like the mantle.
It says CI.
That'd be awesome. Little, you didn't know, but... And this, this stove was used in the restaurant.
No, actually, this just has like a C on it for Cartwright. So then they're like, ICI?
Yeah, right, Cartwright. But I could use this kitchen in my real life. I really like the way it is. I love the country style thing. He's like a souffle in the oven. He's like making like a whole like... I mean, that
fire is kind of out of control.
Right. He's just...
I mean, this is kind of like where you're like, is he going to burn the house down?
Right, and that's kind of where I thought it was going. He's like staring at it, and it's like...
It worked. I liked it. So this is the eye part that kind of reminded me of Sylvia.
Yeah, I'd say this is even more dramatic than that. Works every time.
Actually, the timing of it is always really good. Whenever we do this, it just always works out like amazingly.
That's pretty good. I'm going to try to upload these to YouTube, so hopefully people will be able to see these.
All the stuff that we're laughing at, that people are probably like, what are you doing?
Like, why do you keep playing that from the
Beatles? Yeah.
And you have to throw in a
Yes, lady.
No, I can't believe we haven't done that yet.
There we go. Normally it's in the first like 5 minutes. All right. I heard David Rose is actually heavily influenced by Sexy Boy.
We should have played that when he was taking his glove off with his mouth.
That's true. There'll be time. There's like 400 episodes of Bonanza. Yeah. Right? But yeah, sadly, he's just kind of going and he's kind of moving around. And the steak is still cooking, right? I mean, he didn't drop it, did he?
Well, so this is something that's kind of crazy. Like, what happens to it? And I mean, like, there's just this raging fire, and it's just sitting there. And then what happens?
All right. So I want to point out in this episode, in this scene that's kind of coming up right now, you could see him in the mirror on the top right. Like, watch this mirror, and you can see him. We'll have to.
Oh, I didn't notice that before. That's crazy.
It's kind of cool, right?
Yeah. Their sink is really nice.
Yeah, right? A nice, I watched on YouTube. I don't know if you ever go on YouTube and you watch things, you're like, well, what am I watching?
Yeah, you get like on some rabbit hole and you're like, well, I have to see what happens.
I was watching this guy install his own well. Like he actually And all he did was hammer a well about 15 feet into the ground, and he connected one of these on top, and he has water. It's amazing. I mean, It was muddy at first. For like 5 minutes, it was nothing but mud. But it wasn't as simple as just like putting it into the ground. I mean, it took him like 2 days of hard labor. But he did it by hand, which it just seemed pretty incredible to me.
That's actually quite impressive.
Yeah. Then we go here and it's like,
I need a fix cause I'm going down to the bits that I left uptown. I need a fix cause I'm going down.
There's plenty more in the pot. No, thanks, all filled up.
Beatles just seem to lend themselves to 19th century scenes sometimes.
Yeah, I think so.
Near.
There's going to be some point in a Bonanza, especially, I think, when we can work in Rocky Raccoon. That's a very, this whole story it tells is basically like a Western.
I don't know why we didn't use that in the episode The Raccoon.
Yeah, that actually would be. We're going to have to bring that into LandonNation, I think.
All right, so this freaked us both out, right? I mean, this freaked you out?
Yes.
Big hand?
Yes, it's crazy.
It just seems like I'm sure you've bashed your finger and it like maybe swelled a little bit and it's like, oh, it hurts so bad. This is like...
It's scary.
Like a cartoon taking a hammer, you know?
Yeah, it's scary.
It's like Mickey Mouse's hand. So the way he reacts is exactly how I think I would react. He is like Andre the Giant's head. But this is what's weird. His nails have apparently grown as well. What's the deal with that? How did his nails grow?
That's really funny. Whoever made that prop just made the nails huge.
Well, there's this other thing. There was this Hulk smash thing that my son used to have where you put on like the Hulk hands, and that's exactly what it looks like. Hulk hands.
I was just thinking it'd be really funny because it ballooned up so large after the infection is better, if he just has stretch marks on his hands.
He's loose
from
skin.
The skin being all stretched out.
He used to get a hand tuck.
Yeah. Hey, if anyone could afford it, it would be the Cartwrights.
What we'll do is just cut it there. We'll just cinch it, and it'll be nice.
There'll be a little mark right here, but I think we can just fold it into the natural fold of your hand, and you'll barely notice it.
You're gonna have the hand of a 23-year-old. All right, so this is. I would freak out just like this. The way he's like.
I know. He's just thrashing around, freaking out about his big hand.
Well, he's trying to get away from his hand. He keeps following me. He hates that hand. He goes into the library, which of course they have.
Yeah, they have a medical textbook apparently.
And we get these great shots.
Sorry.
I think that this scene, I was like, whoa, this is mesmerizing. The shots were just amazing, and how it goes from the text to his face, and the way he's kind of talking to himself, and he's a little delirious. I'm everything about this. I was just this is awesome. But this is prime Michael Landon right here.
But it's total eye candy too. This is cinematic. This is really, really well done.
I was actually thinking when I was watching this earlier, I was this could be a movie. Mm-hmm. You could go to a theater and see this movie,
Like the guy who gets snowed in or something like that, you know, and it's he has to survive. The Cartwrights don't have pets, right? I mean, they have the horses, but they don't have a dog.
No, I don't think they have any pets.
I think that's something that they should have included. They should have had a dog. That would have been nice. Wake up, the dog's licking the hand, waiting for it to burst. And we get these crazy close-up shots where where it's
Well,
like,
which this is like very much like in the Little House one when Carolyn's reading the Bible, and then like we get like these shots of what she's reading, and then we kind of see her face, and then shots of the text.
yeah.
So this is like very much that whole scene, except here he has the medical textbook, and then in Little House it's her reading the Bible, which in the context of like her character and on that show, makes sense that she would be doing, like that is what she would reach for. I would think of like for like a source of comfort, but then of course like she focuses on the whole cut it off thing, and then that's the whole like
it's kind of like
off or whatever.
I can really relate with his panic too, because it's like all of a sudden you feel your neck and you have a little pimple or something, and you look it up on Google and you realize it's cancer.
They're like, yeah, right. They're like, you have 3 days to live,
and you're like, cut it off,
Yeah. Or it's like whenever you like Google something and then it'll be like, oh yeah, like most of the time this is fine, but sometimes it's fatal, and then it's like, what?
Well, as long as it doesn't hurt. Kind of hurts and as long as it's not red and raised. Well, you keep touching it, so it's like, I think it's a ringworm. Yeah, like I go down these like terrible rabbit holes of like, there's something wrong with me. Then I forget about it and it goes away.
Right.
Bowls of tea and tobacco are sometimes valuable.
All right, so he says that tea and tobacco is valuable. What does that mean? Like, is he supposed to soak it in a tea of tobacco?
I don't know.
I'm going to play it back just a little bit.
A poultice of tea.
A poultice.
And tobacco are sometimes valuable.
So that's like a poultice. So it's sort of like a little pack, kind of made out of like tea and tobacco.
I don't even know what the word poultice is.
It's kind of like I don't know if that's like, I think it's sort of like a little pack, If that makes sense, it's kind of like a little
like one of those like little tiny satchels or something.
Yeah, I think kind of like a
satchel.
So the definition is a soft, moist mass of material.
Oh, so it's kind of like the like the thing that Matthew wears around his neck.
Applied to the body to relieve soreness and inflammation, and kept in place with a cloth.
Yeah, that'll cure to your big ass hand.
Oh. Tea and tobacco is sometimes valuable.
He just starts chain smoking.
I said tobacco.
Right. So he's making this, he's just kind of making stuff and kind of delusional. And we have like the cauldron like in the background.
Vera was so silly. Scared of a door and some light. I can't blame her. Maybe I blame the door and some lightning.
I mean, he's in and out of consciousness probably. And I don't really know what he's doing here. Like it's I mean, aside from just panicking. And he has that fire raging still. I wonder how that steak was. Because this steak is starting to look a little questionable over here.
Right? Yikes.
That's our meat table. Let's see. The other Cartwrights are eating fairly well. We go back and forth a lot. The way he's drinking this is like hardcore. Like mountain people style,
It's like Party Joe.
The only thing missing here is he should have sang a song of some sort. I don't know, just to relieve himself. It's almost like when you're so stressed out, you do anything, and maybe it could be like,
I need a fix 'cause I'm going down to the bits that I left uptown. I need a fix 'cause I'm going down.
so
It'd be really funny if he's like, maybe if I exercise my big hand.
Make a fist. I just pop. I just hate the whole idea. Now, this is one of my favorite.
Hand. His hand actually, like, it disturbs me. Like, thinking about a hand that big actually is really disturbing, honestly.
It really is. And it does remind me of the King of Queens painting. She has the huge arm and little arm. So this is one of my favorite little scenes in this, and it reminds me of The Exorcist. Now that I'm thinking about it, there are a couple of these flashes in The Exorcist, and I don't think they stole this from The Exorcist, but it certainly reminds me a lot of it. We start flashing.
You know what it actually reminds me of? I'm just realizing in The Graduate, they have shots kind of like that.
You know, I haven't seen The Graduate in so long, and I know your thing just vanished. I'll fix it. I could totally see it in my head though. Like, it's that type of movie. It's like one of those like beautifully filmed movies. But yeah, I could see that totally being like. You know, it's hard to say if they were influenced by that. They had to have been, right? I mean, I think The Graduate was 67 or 68.
67. Yeah, so it's just 2-3 years old. 3 years old, yes. Yeah.
I mean, imagine if he was inspired by Magical Mystery Tour.
Why is there a bus on the Ponderosa?
You have Haas arguing with the ant.
That'd be really funny. Ringo Starr.
Ringo Starr. But yeah, I really like this type of. We get the cello, like. And he picks up this poker, which I think is one of those truing devices. It's like a didgeridoo almost going on there. It's like it's just
It's a scary big hand.
You know, David Rose had to have had like a really good time doing this.
I'm sure he did.
There's a lot of like love in this music. Like, this is really, it's very passionate. It's very involved. You know, you can't just like knock
I really
this out.
like when we get episodes of shows like this where there's just like really cool music in it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, he probably just had a great time coming up with music for it.
He must have. Let's see. This is a scene where they come home and they're like, Joe didn't bring in our Amazon Prime packages.
We were like super hungry by the time that one guy showed up without Joe.
Our Beer of the Month Club came.
What is actually interesting though, and I was going to point out earlier, like when Sprague and Sons show up and they don't have Joe, and they're all just sort of like, typical little Joe. Like, they're completely not worried about it, which is really actually different than like in Little House, when as soon as like the was it the Reverend and Mrs. Foster, when they're like, oh, we just thought she joined you, and he's like, she did not, and then he's like instantly worried and like runs off
right
to go check on her. So that's like very different. Where like here they're just like, LOL,
Joe being Joe.
Yeah.
Little Joe being little. So let's see.
Dried blood.
I thought the ass blaster would work better, but it didn't. So so if you come home, right, and you're looking for your husband, you call out for him, right? You're like, hey, you're home? You know?
Right, like, where are you? Hello?
Not once. They're just like, I'm like, Joe!
Well, really, like, earlier when Sprague and Son were there, and like the kid goes to the barn, which he is in the barn, but he just opens the door and it's like, like he could have been like, hello.
Look at this room. But yeah, he could have said, hey, is anybody here? It's so weird looking at it.
It seems kind of chaotic, but works.
You know when it looks really nice?
The furniture arrangement seems a little chaotic.
In one of the early, I think it might have been like the first or second episode ever, you have little Joe with his foil, like, with the sword and like doing like an epee. And I thought that all looked really cool. I'm not really sure what part of the house that was. But that's why I was like, oh wow, their house is really nicely done. But even here, it does look fine. Like there's nothing, I don't know where the TV is. Joe, you drinking my booze?
Yeah, like Joe, you put on a bender.
Right. I mean, all this stuff is so crazy.
Okay, and then like when you find Joe, so like we're already disturbed by his hand, right? Would you be like, how would you react? That would just be nuts.
And wouldn't you have a gun out personally? I mean, you're finding blood
you'd
on
be
the
like,
horse.
did something happen? Like, did someone rob Joe or something?
Yeah. Joe, you didn't eat that steak, did you? Fire's still going. Do you see that? The fire on the oven is still
Well, so did the steak. Maybe just... That was really funny how they zoom in like that. So did the steak just like burn to a crisp and then kind of disintegrate? Like the fire's just been going the whole time.
Oh no. I just want to drop an egg in it, see what happens. It's so hot. That pan is too hot. And then he's just, they call for this doctor.
And he has a bedroom that is the size of the little house, basically.
Wait, he is what?
He has a bedroom that's the size of the little house, basically.
Right.
Just for scale, they're really living large here on the Ponderosa.
His curtains are nice,
That book that Joe read was entirely correct.
That medical textbook did not lie.
How did they know he even read it? I mean...
Well, I guess because it was probably sitting out, right?
Because he had it in his mouth. He was eating it to consume the knowledge. He had lost it.
Joe's diagnosis was correct, too. Even though a bit premature.
Yeah, I don't think you get gangrene in 12 hours.
Right.
Can you imagine, like, he actually amputated and it's like, no, well, you would have been fine, actually.
Amputation is a harsh remedy. But fortunately, due to the infection, he didn't have the strength to do it.
Or the courage. Imagine.
I think that he just looks so funny, how like snuggled up in bed like that.
Right. You took the screenshots, which were very funny. Where he's like laying down.
He's kind of like smiling, like, I'm gonna be okay.
I'm a burrito baby.
He's strong. It'll take a while, but he'll be fine.
Haas is like, you're strong. He punches him right in the gut.
Making a decision like that takes more courage than just letting go sometimes, Ben. He's quite a boy.
He's quite a 40-year-old boy.
Right. It's kind of... Right, maybe you should go, get a room. Like, move into town.
And what did he mean, like, making a decision like that takes courage? Like, what decision?
Right, he didn't do anything.
I mean, was it, so when they were like, he didn't have the strength to amputate, but was it like a Carolyn Ingalls situation where he tried to, but he ended up just kind of cutting and it maybe drained some of the infection?
I don't know.
Yeah, so that, I was kind of like not really sure what he meant by that.
Yeah, me either.
He's like, crap, so you're going to still live here for more years, huh?
Yes, lady.
He'd do anything to get out of a roundup, wouldn't he?
So he says he'd do anything to get out of a roundup, wouldn't he?
Oh, a roundup. All right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's our other little comedic line in this episode.
The Roundup? Or the,
Yeah, like he'd do anything to get out of the Roundup.
But he really is a mumble mouth. Like, I'm a good little boy, right, Pa?
Yeah, no, that is totally how he looks. Like he's all just like, yeah, I'm gonna make it, Daddy.
Man,
He'd do anything to get out of a Roundup, wouldn't he?
Because he has marbles in his mouth.
It's like, what? Are you eating bread? It sounds like you have bread in your mouth.
Well, they were like living on jerky for so long, I guess, when they were waiting for the cook.
Yeah, his teeth are all like, sore. You ever eat some jerky and it's like it's caught in your teeth? Like,
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I've had that happen. It sucks.
you have to, dig out that love. I don't know what that means. But that brings us to the end. We're like, yeah!
And now he's all like snuggling down, like, I'm gonna sleep.
It's like, guys, can you get out of here and close the drapes? I'm completely hungover.
Yeah, he probably is.
And he'll have a story to share. So
this is when he's like, can you bring me my steak? And then Haas is like, no comment, because he ate it.
Can you make me a sandwich? But yeah, I thought this was a fun episode. I'm really getting into Bonanza. I mean, I'm watching it in order, but there's like 400 episodes.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I think that the show is not very like continuity focused. So I think that while watching it in order, of course, it's fine. I think that you can kind of just watch them and be entertained by it, and you're not necessarily like, even just like what I've watched, the like continuity stuff, there really is like a total lack of it. So it's like, yeah, just watch whatever you feel like watching.
I'm looking through the art. Like it's this reminds me actually of in Father Murphy. Which maybe we bring Father Murphy into the mix on LandonNation, even though he's
the Murph.
And in the first episode, they kind of build something like this because somebody kind of damned their water. But what's this? It's just money. What's this? No, it's perfect for this.
It's Brian's eagle.
Yeah. But Kelly, thank you so much for doing this. People should check out LandonNation.com. If you like stuff like this, you can also check out Walnut Grovecast. But if you want a good laugh, really what you should do is go to PrairieReview.com, where you can read all about all of Kelly's writings, which have been, I don't know, I've heard it compared to The Onion more than just a few times.
Very flattering, because that was my inspiration for, kind of the Onion-esque style reporting.
But I think you have your own style as well. I mean, I like the Onion stuff. I just think you do carry your own style, which is on its own.
Well, thank you.
And it's definitely Little House on the Prairie focus. Who knows? Maybe you bring a little Bonanza into the action.
I feel like this episode, that hand is like pretty article worthy, I think.
I want to see the next episode and him like being like, oh, his hand's back to normal already.
hey, little Joe, remember when your head was huge?
Yeah. It's just, the whole thing is kind of strange.
Like in the next episode, he's like writing a letter to Adam, who moved away. Like, dear Adam, what a week.
Wait.
My hand ballooned up.
But he has to hold the pen in a weird way because he's lefty. And it was he has to hold it like a kid holds a crayon. With his fist. Dear Adam. Big like ADAM. Be kind of funny. Well, I hope he gets better. I'm worried. But yeah, also Dr. Queencast. That's another podcast that people should definitely check out. Yes,
which is very similar in nature to this.
Yeah, it's basically the same show, just a different show.
Yeah. Well, I suppose I should say maybe LandonNation is sort of a different version of kind of Dr. Queencast, since that was the one that we were doing first, but the same sort of style and approach that we're taking. So.
Hogwash, yeah?
And also, I guess we'll probably mishmash all of our, quotes and all that kind of stuff. And eventually, it really, they'll all turn into one show.
Well, which, I mean, I do really kind of like synthesizing some of our kind of inside jokes. And, you know, of course, like when we're watching these shows, we're kind of like, oh, this reminds me of in this show when this happens. This reminds me of in this show when this happens, you know, and I kind of like putting in context of other references like that and kind of drawing those comparisons. And then I'm just also like, I mean, like with like playing the music and stuff, it's like I'm kind of just like that anywhere, like where people say stuff and then I just like make some song pop into my head, you know? So that kind of is where like that kind of started getting worked in.
Yeah, I really enjoy some of the ones that we do, and I look forward to doing more of them in the future. But yeah, thank you so much. I guess this will end up on YouTube, so if you like this video, give us a thumbs up, subscribe.
Tell all your friends.
Tell all your friends. Bring a friend next time. And just stay on the line. Whoops, I have to figure it out.